Hello, second grade writers, and welcome to our writing lesson for today. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be spending some time sharing our poems with the rest of our class. So, in the next slide, you're going to see that you have two options on how you can share one of your poems with the rest of us. So, you can either come onto the office hours between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock, and you can share one of your poems to the rest of us by reading it. Or what you can do is you can take a video of yourself reading one of your poems and then sending it in an email to either me or Mrs. Zillahy. So that's basically what our writing is going to be like for today. But what I wanted to teach you first is when we're reading poetry like a poet, there's a couple things that we want to kind of ask ourselves and answer those questions that we ask ourselves when we're reading poems. So today, when each person is sharing their poem that they wrote, you as the listener or as the reader, I want you to ask yourself these certain questions, and I kind of want you to see if you can answer them in a certain way. So some of the questions that I want you to ask yourself as you're listening to other people share their poems are, as I read this writing, can I make a picture in my mind? So I want you to kind of say to yourself, when I read this poem or when I listen to this poem, I see blank. What are some things in your mind that you see when one of your classmates is reading their poem to you? Okay? The other question that you might want to ask yourself is, does this writing help me look at something in the world in new ways? So this question might happen when one of your classmates is reading their poem to you, and you might have that same experience, but you might have experienced that experience in a different way. Okay, so one thing that you might say to yourself as your classmate is reading their poem to you is, this is different than before because, so again, maybe your classmate had a similar experience, but they looked at it in a different way than you did. So kind of think about that as your classmates are reading their poems aloud to you. And then the last one that you might want to ask yourself is, does this writing give me a certain feeling or make me think or question? So when your classmates are reading their poems, maybe it gives you a feeling. Maybe you feel a certain way when they're reading their poems to you. Or maybe it gets you thinking about something. Or possibly you might have a question about this person's writing at the end of their share. So another thing that you can kind of say to yourself is, this poem makes me feel or wonder blank. So really think about maybe what that poem is making you feel or what it's making you wonder. And then if you do have a question or if you do have something that you're wondering about this person's writing, you can always ask them when they're done sharing their writing. So these are just some things that I want you as an audience to kind of think about when each of our classmates are reading their poems to us. Okay? And then also, if you're reading your poem, this is also some things that you can think about as you're reading, right? Paint that mental picture in your mind so that way you can really understand and kind of express your poem. Okay, if your poem makes you feel a certain way when you are writing it, then definitely express that feeling when you're reading it. So if a poem made you feel happy when you were writing it, then definitely present it in a way that seems happy. Okay, so these are all things that you can do both as the writer and presenter of the poem, but also as the audience or the person that is listening to the poem. So these are some things that I kind of want you guys to think about today as our classmates share their poems with us. Okay, everybody, so go on to the next page and you can see the options on how you can share your poem with the rest of the class. And I can't wait to see all of you guys read your poems like real, true poets. Okay, everybody, have fun. Can't wait to see it.